good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another segment of Fab News with Gerard Moultrie. Listen, I have a guest with me today. As we know, we're getting ready to gear up for November 8th election. And so you will be seeing me periodically interviewing some of the guests, interviewing some of the people, just talking to them and just having a conversation with them about what do they bring to the table, and how they're going to serve the constituents of this county. Today, I have a special guest with me today, and I'm going to bring him right on in. I'm going to bring him in, and this is an interview with Mr. Candidate, Mr. Joe McMillan from District 1, who's with me today. How are you doing today, Mr. Joe?
I'm good. It's good to be on the air with you. Nice to see you today.
All right. First of all, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to do this interview with me. And I want to let you just tell the people a little backdrop about yourself before we get into the actual interview.
That'd be great. So I'm Joey McMillan. I was born and raised here in Florence. I spent some time in Columbia in the real estate business, and then I actually moved back here in 2006, bought my company, and have bought two other companies since then. Have been in the real estate business ever since. Now I'm in commercial real estate and the property management business. So I run three businesses, and I'm also the chairman of the board of the Florence County Commission on Alcohol and Drug Abuse. So let's do some nonprofit work too. I've been president of the Kiwanis Club. I've been the chairman of the board of the PD Realtor Association. So I've done some things that have given me some inlooks into that's hard to say, but for-profit and non-profit parts. And I'm ready to serve in Florence Council, District Number 1. I feel like I'm up to the task and would be a great help to the Florence community.
Okay. So there you have it. You have a backdrop of him. So just tell me some of the things. I guess, first of all, what even got you to the point that would make you even want to run for Florence District 1 seat?
Well, I'd always been interested in politics, and it really hadn't sparked my. Well, let's say I wouldn't say interested in politics. I've always been interested in serving, and I was waiting for an opportunity to serve. And a couple of years during COVID, the city council started a rental ordinance. And I didn't think it was a very good, it wasn't good for tenants and it wasn't good for landlords. I thought it was a terrible idea. I fought hard to roll back some of the things they put into it, mainly that everything had to meet the uniform code, which was a code book about this thick. And let me tell you, I live in a house built in the 1950s. It doesn't meet that code book. And it was just over the top restrictions on landlords that landlords are going to have to put on tenants. Thought it was a terrible idea. Met with city council numerous times, tried to get it where it was reasonable for everybody involved. So by Zoom during COVID, they went ahead and passed it and didn't take any recommendations from the people who are landlords, the people who are tenants, people who own property. I thought it was a really awful way of running a community. And that got me interested. And then the next thing that really got me going that I wanted to take is when Act 176 came along, and that was for business owners where they could go to one spot and get their business licenses. And a person like me has to get a business license in Lake City, Timorsville, wherever I do business, Hartsville, and in Florence, of course. They took that legislation supposed to be good for business owners, and they put in 2 additional taxes on LLCs and businesses. And now I pay double tax for my building here that I run my Coldwell Banker agency out of, and I run my Coldwell Banker Seaboard agency out of. I own the buildings in an LLC. I pay business license fees on the money I take in, and then I pay myself rent, and then I pay business license fees again on the money that I've already taken in. I just think that Florence has got to be, if we don't have a business friendly city, we're not going to have a good city. That's just the way it is. If we've got to attract businesses and bring them in, we've got to make sure we tax businesses, of course, but we've got to tax them in a fair way that makes sense for business so they'll want to relocate here. So when I got to looking at that, I said, what does Florence need to do? First of all, we've got to build an environment here in Florence where companies will want to come and create jobs, because without jobs, we're just not going anywhere. So I think we got with the business friendly community and some different things we can do, we can attract industry, to attract jobs, and get them to come in here. And I want to build a place where my kids will want to come back to Florence and live and work. I don't want them to go to Charleston or Greenville or Columbia. Maybe sometimes I do want them to go, but right now I'd like for them to stay in Florence. And I think we have got to work hard to create those opportunities. We've also got to create affordable housing for the people of Florence, and there are some places in District 1 that need some attention. And I think that we can do some things that can make Florence a more affordable community and a better community to live. I don't want to see anybody living in a house they want to live in, but I think there are ways that in some sections of Florence, in District 1, that we could give some incentives to renovate some houses, get some people to buy those houses, make it be their home, make them take ownership and pride in the community. Everything gets better. Crime gets better. The neighborhoods get better when the owner occupied rate gets up. And probably the most important thing we really got to work on is crime. Our crime statistics are terrible in Florence. And I'll tell you that when companies come and look and they want to relocate to Florence, they look at that crime, and when they see those statistics, it doesn't help us out a bit. And we've got to do something about that. We've got to get the community to work together with the police, with the people in the community, with the churches, with the schools, and we've got to figure out a way to reduce crime, and we'll be a lot better city. And I hate it because I feel perfectly safe in Florence. I have no problem walking down the street where I live and everything. And it breaks my heart that some people do not feel safe in Florence, and we've got to make it so everybody feels safe here. That's just the priority one, really.
So what I'm hearing you saying is that you want to get on the board and you want to make affordable houses. So that would be one thing that you would really say, I want to bring affordable houses to the community. Mm-hmm. And then I think I hear you say the taxes, and I'm a landlord as well, so I understand the taxes. Sometimes, people don't really understand how, as a landlord, if you put taxes on me, I have to shift that money somewhere. So I have to put it on the tenant. And if the tenant can't afford to pay the taxes, then, are we really friendly to the tenants? Are we really friendly to the businesses?
Mm-hmm. You could be more right. The landlords that rent, they're paying 70% higher tax rates than owner-occupied people. So it's a big chunk. And a lot of landlords are paying three months of their rent are going just to pay the taxes. And we can't continue like that. And those are some problems at the state level and how they tax things. And most of the tax money does go to schools. But we've got to figure out a way to make it fair for landlords so they'll want to create affordable housing. If they're going to be taxed where it doesn't make any sense, there's not going to be any affordable housing. And you're exactly right. So we've got to figure out a way to make housing affordable and taxing it. And then this rental registry where you're going to have inspectors riding by and saying, oh, well, the paint's chipping here. You need to go paint your house. Well, that landlord may have wanted to put a new heater in, but now he's got to paint because that's what they tell them to do. Let's let them decide what they need to do. Let's let the landlords pick it up. And if it's inhabitable and it's awful, let's let the rental registry people get involved. But otherwise, let's let the landlord and the tenant work it out amongst themselves. And I really believe that if we could educate tenants on what their rights are as tenants, a lot of these problems will go away because they'll understand these are things you can ask for. These are things you can ask for. These are things you can do. These are things you can't do. And there's a law in South Carolina, the Landlord Tenant Act, that protects tenants and it protects landlords, and tenants and landlords can work together within those parameters instead of having inspectors from the city going around and telling them what they got to do.
So I have a question for you that I guess a lot of people have been asking. With the makeup of the city's board, the board has a very unique makeup because I understand that, there's people say it's a nonpartisan board, but it's not really nonpartisan.
No, we do have partisan elections, so they're
it's a partisan election. So what actually you could almost say is the Democrat really control the board, if you really want to say that. So as a Republican, how would you be able to work with the Democrats where it's no longer Democratic and Republican, but it's people?
Mm-hmm. But it is people, and we um, we have to work together to get things done. And you know, I come from back where I'm.
Something happened to your phone. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I should have. I don't know how I did this. I probably should have done on my computer anyway. Um, we're going to have to work together. If I win, which I believe I will, there will be two Republicans on the council, and we have got to figure out a way to work with Democrats. And I have sat down with some people on city council, and we can work together. And Brian Braddock has done a great job of reaching across. And I don't care if I'm a Democrat, if I don't care if I'm a Republican, we got to reach across and work together to make Florence a better place. And that's not a partisan issue. That's a Florence issue. So you're right. Will Republicans be outnumbered? They will be. Good ideas are never outnumbered. If they're good for the city and everybody sees it, it's going to be good. And I believe in what I've done and working with in these three businesses and working with the board of realtors and working with Florence County Commission on Alcohol and Drug Abuse. I've seen, I'll go from one day with meetings for some of the wealthiest people in Florence to meeting with some of the poorest people in Florence. And my job is to do business with them and meet their needs. And I've seen it being in the real estate. I've seen the places that need help. I've seen the where the stormwater doesn't get where it wants to go. Breaks my heart. But we have got to work together, and ideas are what's going to make it go. Ideas and vision. If we don't have vision for a town, we got nothing. We got to have a vision of how we're going to make Florence a better place. And you can't argue, well, that's a Democrat or that's a Republican issue. That's a Florence issue. And I believe I'm equally qualified as a leader who's gotten stuff done, that I can talk to people and bring them together. And it's funny. That's what I've done my whole career in the real estate business. I bring buyers and sellers together and agents and brokers together. And I've done that for 20 years. And that's what I want to do on city council.
Okay. So here, affordable housing. So we talked about that. The crime rate, as you said, man, the crime rate is outrageous. Gangs and shootings and everything that is going on. What do you think that you bring to city council that you could bridge the gap, one, with the community? Because the police presence is one thing, but it's going to take the community to reduce the crime. Because if the community doesn't work with the police, I mean, we're still at point A.
We could increase the police department, and I have utmost respect for Florence Police Department. I deal with them with all these properties we manage and stuff. We deal with them all the time, and they're as professional as I can see. We could increase their budget by 50%, and I don't think crime's going to go down. You're exactly right. We've got to bring the community together. I'm sorry, I didn't think. We've got to bring the communities together and figure out a way to lower, because everybody wants lower crime except the criminals, and I think we're all against the criminals, right? But there are ways that we can meet and come together and figure out, go to the schools, the churches. We've got to get together. We've got to get the police, and we've got to get community leaders. We got to get community religious leaders. Got to get teachers. We got everybody involved. And look, if you have a crime and somebody goes out and commits a crime and it hurts somebody, those are two people that are hurt. But also, it's more than that. It's the family of the people, not only the family of the victims, but the family of the. I think about somebody committing a crime and going to jail, how that hurts the family too of the people that are serving time. It's awful, and we've just got to. But we can't do it with just police. We've got to do it with the community. We got to get everybody on board and know that lower crime is better for everybody, and through the community, we've got to figure out ways to do that.
Okay. So, I appreciate that. So I wrote a story this morning in my paper. And for many of you who are watching that don't know, you can go to Fab News is not only a Facebook page, but you can go to our digital paper. And I wrote a paper that's on the front page today. I talked about, I understand you guys had a successful meeting yesterday. And I guess you would say, well, you wasn't there. When you're in the news, you don't have to be there. But I got the information. I understand you guys are gearing up, man, for the stump. That's one thing. But I think Thursday night you have something big that is coming on. Thursday
Yeah.
night. Let's talk about your event Thursday night.
So I'm having a fundraiser at my office at 419 South Coit Street. Would love for everybody to come out, and I'll talk a little bit, but I mainly want everybody to get together and see what what I'm trying to do. And we're going to have some chili and some vegetable soup. I think it may be a little bit. I thought it was going to be a little cooler than this, but I think the rain will hold out. And hope everybody can come out. That's 419 South Coit Street, and that's it's tomorrow night starting at 5:30 and ends about 7. So would love for everybody to come out and meet our team and what we're trying to do.
And you said that's 419 Court Street?
419 South Coit Street.
Oh, South Court Street. And the time for that is going to be what time?
5:30.
So 5:30 to what time you saying?
7.
I can't hear you.
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock, 5:30 to 7 o'clock. And so it is there on the screen, guys. We have and so is there anything else you want to share with the listeners? Is there anything else? And so the address for tomorrow is there on the screen. Those of you who are looking, 419 South Court Street there, 5:30 to 7. That is there, and again, they're having kind of a meet and greet thing. So, is there anything else you want to tell the constituents before we go?
My cell phone number is 843-601-770. Feel free to call me about any issues you might have. I'd love to hear.
Number again.
843-601-7710. If anybody's got any issues they'd like to discuss, I'd love to talk about it with them. I'm Florence. I really want Florence to be a better place, and I want to serve the entire community. That's what I want. And I say it in my ads. I want what we want. We want a Florence where people's children will want to stay here, work here, play here, worship here, and we want it free of crime, and we want it business friendly. And that's a vision for Florence. And without the vision, we're not going anywhere. We got to have the vision, and then we got to go from there.
Okay, well, certainly, I thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to just do this interview. As you can see, the number is on the screen there. If you want to talk with Joey one-on-one, his number's on the screen, and you have that opportunity. Again, for those of you who are joining, this is Joey McMillan, who is Florence District 1 candidate who will be on the ballot on November the 8th. And this is, Joey. He's here, as I said, he's running for City Council District number 1, and he is here. And let me just put this disclaimer out there because I want everybody to understand this. I understand something went out yesterday where someone says I'm catering to the Republican. I have done my due diligence. I am a media guy who owns Fab News. I don't endorse a candidate. I don't support a candidate. So I need to put this disclaimer out there. I have one vote because I live in the city, and I can't even tell who I'm going to vote for being a part of the media. But I will say this. Yes, you see me interviewing the Republican Party. Yes, you see me covering the Republican Party. But here's why I cover them. They invite me. If the Democratic or the Independent Party invite me, I will cover the story. But certainly I can't just go somewhere and cover a story and I've not been invited. So I want to just, put that out there. I have no ties to Mr. Joey. I have no ties to Mr. Jesse. I have no ties to any party or any affiliation. I am a businessman who operates Fab News. And if you have news, I will report it. So I needed to put that out there, Mr. Joey, because someone put out, I heard yesterday that I was sharing a lot of your information. And so certainly, I was backing you or you were spending money. And I will say this. So when you go to the Ethics Commission, Mr. Joey and I have never done any business. None.
Yeah, no.
So this is the first business here. But again, Thank you so much, Mr. Joy, for taking time out of your busy schedule. Those of you on tomorrow, as he said, there is a meet and greet tomorrow. You can come. You can come 419 South Court Street from 5:30 to 7. And then this is his telephone number, 601-7710. Again, we have with us today Mr. McMillan, who is running from Court Street, who is a businessman and wants to serve the city. So, Mr. Joy, again, I thank you so much for your time. I'm going to let you finish up and close out, and we're going to go.
Well, I appreciate you having me on and letting me tell people what my vision is for Florence, and appreciate what you're doing. You know, we need some more news outlets in Florence, and I tell you what, we talked the other day. We talked about this, and I've been following you and reading your stories, and you're carrying some stuff other news outlets aren't carrying. So we appreciate what you do, and you know, just helping out Florence. It's a great thing, and thanks so much for having me on. Sorry, my phone was ringing. I'll do a better job of coming up on something that I don't have calls.
Okay. Well, we'll be seeing you, and I'm sure we'll be interviewing you closer to the election. Again, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule.
Thank you.
All right.